What up, random rockers? Alright. Thor Ragnarok. Fucking awesome. Oh boy. This is the third of the Thor films, and if you can really keep count, yeah, I can't, so forget it. I'm not even going to go there with that when it comes to, I guess at least I'll say it's the third, fourth, fifth, maybe, MCU film. Yeah, we'll go with fifth in terms of phase 3. And yes, it is. I'm sad to say it's pretty dang good. I will let you know when the spoilers happen, and if they do, I may as well just not wear the hat, because I don't really have anything in this situation that will make it clear that when spoilers happen. So, anyway, this film's, of course, the third film takes place sometime after Avengers Age of Ultron, and he's at the time dealing with some other issues, and it's mostly dealing with the fact of Hela, played by Cate Blanchett, which her performance is what makes her more of a villain. She's fine as a villain, I think, of the MCU films. She is just like how, I would even say the same thing about her performance as Hela, in the same way I would say, give it to Michael Keaton's performance as Vulture recently this year for Spider-Man Homecoming. In that same vein as when it comes to MCU, like most villains, but the difference is that their performance elevates it and makes it seem more than. But I will say that, and the whole thing is really different from the past few Thor films that kind of go Shakespearean a little bit. And this time, I think they allowed the current director, Taika Waititi, who actually I didn't find out till a little bit later, they're in other reviews probably, that he is actually been voiced by the the director himself has voiced the rock dude, Gollum looking dude, Korg, which he was one of the funniest little things involved in a Dane movie. Definitely, as far as I'm concerned, this movie is what I should have got at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and dare I say even Volume 1. Honestly, I just feel like for some reason there are only a few moments, I think, when it comes to James Gunn that I get what his humor, but that's the difference. This Taika Waititi guy, his humor is pretty more straightforward and a lot easier to digest, whereas with something like James Gunn, he acts. My problem with him, I feel like he's smarter. He's far more clever than what he thinks he's actually far more clever than he actually is. And that's what I kind of get out of, that's what the problem was with those. And the second one just kind of got a little more overbloated, taking that humor and just making it so overbloated. It wasn't even to the point where it was barely even funny. And the moments when you wanted to take seriously, the humor just kind of cut you off and just kind of but that's not what happened here in Thor Ragnarok. In this film, you have a good set of actors, especially with Chris Hemsworth having actually in Vacation, was actually one of the funnier parts of that movie, despite that movie being complete garbage, and pales in comparison to the National Lampoon Classic. In here, that humor, as well as maybe some of the humor elements that we got out of Thor far more as a character, far more in the Avengers films, as opposed to his actual own films, they brought that into this film, and that's what we kind of needed out of Thor. And it focused more on him, on the personality that is of Thor, that isn't not the Shakespearean side of things, but really more, they'll try to make Thor more intelligent than what he actually is based off of in mythos, which he's really based off of some Viking Norse mythology, which is Viking legends and stuff. And they focused, and they gave him more of that sort of have a beer and just that kind of vibe. Like, he was technically, when he was in the Avengers, he was kind of more or less the fratty party boy of them. And, you know, they were able to bring a little more of that kind of humor to it, and to Thor. And of course, Chris Hemsworth's delivery and performance is what helps with that. Of course, having already, you know, been involved with the character throughout the past few MCU films has helped in that regard. And of course, Loki, greatest, so many good callbacks in this film as well that I won't get to until spoiler details. Odin, for what we did kind of get out of him in, or at least in terms of any form of performance out of Anthony Hopkins. A few nice other little Easter eggy callbacks there. For the most part, I enjoyed this film. This film rocks. I personally think this film rocks. Anyone who basically will say, there will be some people who liked what the first Thor was to a some more intellectual degree, but, you know, for the most part, I was like, dude, I wanted to see more of him with his powers. That's what I was sold on. Didn't give me that. And what this film gave me was more of, Thor Dark World tried to do that, but it wasn't executed as well as it could have been. But now with this film, which if it was in any other director's hands, it would have been more, even probably far more of a mess. Because it's mostly overbloated, but there's so much going on, you're still willing to be engaged into the film. And at least with a good director, like Taika Waititi, with not only the humor, but also actually knowing how to piece things together as well, where need be for the humor to actually work in to make this film better. And once again, this film, like I said, this film rocks. I'm glad with the dynamic of this thing is that there's more. The whole thing with Hulk as a character, we get to see him talk more. I mean, if you've seen the trailers, you've known that, so that's not really a spoiler. And there was a little bit more of a dynamic with him, and even to the extent of even seeing Banner, which you do see them having conversations. There's some of that there. But for the most part, it's a buddy comedy, not so much with him and Thor, as it is really between him and Loki, which was more surprising than anything, and how they handled that was done pretty darn well in that regard. And, you know, their use of, and the one thing that they do here, like the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 specifically, is their use of soundtracking, though I feel like it comes off, I wouldn't say nearly as well thought out as like Baby Driver was earlier this year, but it's somehow, with what they do soundtrack wise, some people will think, may worry with the beginning as it coming off as a music video, but I didn't worry I had so much fun with that scene. I was like, oh, this is going to be a blast the rest of the way through. I didn't think that it was going to be, I mean, if they kept it more like that specifically the whole dang time, it might have been different, but, you know, it wasn't exactly like that. It gave you enough of an idea without completely making you feel like we're going to get another what if we got out of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And with this one, it was nice, and plus, if I'm getting the actress right, forgive me, Rebecca Romijn, or Tomaine, actually. The chick who was to go from being just a love interest to Adonis Creed, to playing this kind of character, and being actually more of a badass. I mean, this performance was enough that it was good enough to be considered to allow him alongside every other character involved in the films. Every other female character that is and is going to be involved, actress that is and is going to be involved in the MCU, to get Kevin Feige to want to do a film for all the ladies. For all the ladies of the MCU. And the performance was good, but I don't know if it was that good enough to be warranted for that. But I mean, I was engaged and interested, almost as much as I would say with Wonder Woman, but not nearly as close. Because Chris Hemsworth, it's mostly his movie, and Taika Waititi's, and they're the ones that steal the performance. The director and him are the ones that most, as well as, of course, Loki, specific, why am I forgetting the actor's name? Damn it. I should know it. Tom Hiddleston. And their performance, just fantastic. And, in fact, it was kind of weird with Kate Blanchett and how they handled the whole thing with her hairstyling thing or whatever. At one point, she's kind of creepy with the weird thing. Other times, she'll just have her hair down and she'll look kind of like, interesting. But I think the whole point of that was out of reference to a character called Enchantress, because they couldn't really do that because of Suicide Squad, obviously, with DCEU, which, they were able to get away with that. Mostly because of the fact that we couldn't have that Enchantress character, and yet we managed to get the Executioner, because they're mostly the ones that pair up together. Not so much Executioner and them, which was played by Carl Urban, and aside from one scene in the film that I'll eventually get to, and you know what, I'm going to just do it now. Spoiler time. In 3, 2, 1. Go. Alright, guys. Alright, so when it comes down to it, you also get a lot more of, let's see, aside from the humor was great, Korg was great, the performances and the dynamic between Loki and Thor are even better than they ever were in any of the past few Thor films, and even more so than Avengers. And then, of course, you have, besides, there was Kate Blanchett. His performance was nice. It was Executioner only had like one good role when it came to the end. We actually got a little bit more out of we start off with the whole Surtur thing, and then fighting off with the hammer, just throwing that around, and then we get throwing that around against all these his undead army, being played to the great LZ, Led Zeppelin, this immigrant son. And through this, and later in the movie, during the scene on the Rainbow Bridge, or whatever the hell they were actually calling it, that's on Asgard, that whole fight scene is when Thor goes. The thing that they didn't spoil in the definitely didn't spoil in the trailer, is that scene that you do see in the trailers isn't the first time he does it. It's during his fight with the Hulk, which is actually, I don't know if I could say it's better than the scene in Avengers or not, or at least it would have been more gratifying had they not, had Grandmaster do his stupid thing to cut him off. But of course they didn't want to, have him actually beat the Hulk and piss off Hulk fans, so they had to come up with some stupid little red herring, I guess you would say, just to kind of screw Thor over a little bit in that whole fight. Even though I think the way that fight was going, it almost made us want to believe what Thor was saying to Banner about the whole thing. That doesn't sound right. Oh, I won easily. It's like, oh. It plays to his humor, the character, super well. I'm so happy to have seen. I've had a blast. I want to see this film again. It's in my top 5. The way this happens is like, and Hulk talks, but he's more like a baby, more like a 5-year-old when he talks and stuff. And it's every line, some of the lines he says is so funny. It sucks that I can't remember it completely, some of these lines completely off the top of my head, except, some callbacks to the code word crap to try to calm Banner down. And Banner's like, and the moment he tried to put his hand there, it's like, once the whole friends from work thing, the thing that makes that scene so much better than what we got out of the trailer is Loki's reaction while he's sitting there through the entire thing. He's like, when he sees it's the Hulk, he was like, oh God, I gotta leave this planet. Oh. on top of every line he says after that, just, I gotta leave this planet. And the moment Thor basically gets thrown around just like Loki did, and Loki's just, yeah! I'm into this sport and everything. Just oh. Oh. And then Thor just kind of playing get help. Just ragdoll. This is literally the best comedy of the fucking year. Oh, that's what Taika Waititi does, and it's like, and it's the only time, like, the Korg thing that I could see why some people, it wouldn't have worked, because in a way it kind of takes away from what is supposed to be a serious moment. And there were some that could have almost been Guardians of the Galaxy bad, but somehow it still worked in a way that allowed the humor to still work, but it did suck in the sense that it did take away from a serious moment. Though not nearly as bad and as cringy. Not nearly as bad. And by that I don't mean cringy in the sense of that Pac-Man thing in Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. Supposed to be like serious moments, and then, you know, they try to have humor deflect it. Just, it was clashed. But in this one, it barely clashed. The humor still landed. But you kind of, it sucked that you're laughing after you're just seeing, you know, Thor and their home is gone. You know, Asgard is done. Ragnarok wound up happening, and instead, what it turns out, Ragnarok was the only thing that would allow them to beat Hela. So they basically took the head of Surtur and basically used him to do that. And then Hulk's scene that he did that with was so he could try to beat him up. It looks like, and they were trying to actually have him destroy him, and then in the process destroy Hela. So Hulk going in was kind of like, no! For once in your life, Hulk! Don't smash! Oh! Come on, dude! It's like, oh, come on! Humorous note after humorous note. This film was the jokes, the whole thing with the Grandmaster, of course, I forgot to mention with Jeff Goldblum. And and then he comes back from the Surtur thing in the beginning of the movie, and they have a play, and just the random Matt Damon cameo, but it's in a way that comes off like it may as well have been like Team America World Police. Matt Damon kind of bullshit. The way that humor came off, but it was an interesting cameo, and for Miss Loki, I'm like, they could have come up with a different actor, but it was just a surprise cameo. Even more surprising, the Odin in the play was done by, forget his name, but he was ironically in Jurassic Park, alongside Jeff Goldblum, who happens to play the Grandmaster, and he's just doing his usual Jeff Goldblumisms, and it just works for this film massively well. Oh, man, and there's so many other Easter eggs that if you'd have to watch the movie over and over again just to be able to pay attention to, or you can just go watch Emergency Awesome and save yourself some money if you are, in debt, possibly. Just throwing that out there, if you are, But, but if you want to spend more money, I'm not going to stop you, because it's that good of a film, and it's definitely going to make my top 5 of the year, and it's probably top 5, if not obviously top 7, 10 in the MCU right now. At some point, hell, if we get any more, and by the time Phase 3 is finished, we might actually have a top 20 for like MCU films now. It's insane. But yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of this film. I needed a good laugh, and I needed some good epic moments, which him having these moments of finally, like, just him going full Raiden. After seeing this film, it's like, how can we not have a good Raiden for once in a good actual good Mortal Kombat film with Raiden in it, with a Raiden kind of in the same vein as how they handled him here in this film, which was just even far more epic and badass. He's the God of Thunder, not the God of Hammers. It was nice to have him mature and realize this. And Thor loses an eye. He's pretty well like Odin now, and he's got a patch. And he's no hair, now he's short hair and lost an eye. Unless he gains it back somehow through some Infinity Stone BS in Infinity War. I don't know if they're going to go that route or not. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Let's train in the post-creds. There's not much to it. It's a Grandmaster thing where we guess he's probably going to die from whatever revolt that's happened since the escape from Sakaar. It was literally like a Planet Hulk meets that, and they just couldn't do the film because of Universal's bullcrap. And they managed to interweave it so well with having a good direction. It would have just been super bloated and stuff, and just would have clashed. But luckily, Taika Waititi, who's done other films and apparently was involved in Flight of the Conchords. I think he might have been one of the members of Flight of the Conchords, or of the Flight of the Conchord guys or whatever. Because I think in fact, I recognized the voice of Korg once I realized that was Taika Waititi. It's like, okay, that makes sense. It's like, and this guy, I want to look out for what he has to offer. I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait. I haven't even had a chance to see any of the leak trailers for Infinity War. I might have here and there, but dude, I can't wait to see what's happening. You know, what's going to happen with Infinity War. I'm looking forward to Black Panther, though I think there's going to be more African Americans who are going to, or just plain Africans in general, who are going to enjoy that film. That's the next MCU I'm looking forward to, and good luck, Justice League, to beating this out. Good luck. Oh boy. It's going to be a bit of a competition there. Not to mention, even if, Thor Ragnarok doesn't get anywhere, they'll have freaking Last Jedi for Star Wars, so Disney's not going to be in the hole here. DC can't get a break sometimes, other than when it comes to their TV shows that's on the CW right now. Can't wait for Black Lightning either, speaking of thunder and stuff like that. So, yes. What did you guys think? Comment below. Thor Ragnarok, did you love it? Did you hate it, or to the extent of thinking that the first Thor was better? Or even to the extent that Dark World was better, which I don't fully understand in places maybe, but I almost wanted to say Dark World was a little bit better. If only they just had a more solid of a villain to ground it better. But whatever. I still think, either way, Thor Ragnarok is still the best of those Thor films, and definitely up there as one of the best of the MCU films right now. What did you guys think? Where do you rank in your MCU films? And maybe I will probably join you guys in the comment section if you decide to check this video out. So comment below, let me know about that. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, y'all.